Welcome to a brand new day, the 15th of December 2021, and this is Good Morning Uganda, here to kickstart your day and keep you informative and up to date with the current affairs within the nation, but also worldwide, and that is our commitment. Again, it's also about inspiring Uganda. My name is Priscilla Naloga, delighted to be here with you this morning, and I trust that you are in perfect health. Now, as we journey on, I am here with the gentleman distinguished in their suitcases.
Well, schools are about to reopen.
I know, right? Speaking of schools reopening, one of the tabloids this morning is actually waking us up to news that the government of Uganda is setting aside 113 billion Ugandan shillings for the schools reopening, which is a positive thing, meaning that no kuzikiza, we are actually moving ahead with the country's or nation's plans for schools reopening as well as the economy reopening, and so everything should be intact and good to go come January 2022. Robert Chirabo, good morning to you. I have missed you.
Oh, I've missed you, surely. Good morning, Priscilla.
Good morning to you.
How have you been?
I've been fair.
I must say, I love your hairstyle.
Thank you very much.
Otherwise, I'm fine, and of course, I'm delighted to be here and knowing that people have already woken up. We have people like a retired Captain Chitaka Mayanja, that is in Chiboga district. He told me that by 6, he's already sitting in his sitting room waiting to hear from us, be updated with what is happening locally and internationally. So that's our mandate. And still, it's a new day and the Lord has been faithful to us. So we hope He has, and we are here to ensure that we give you that breakfast full of information and of course a few light moments here and there.
Good morning to you, Captain. Also, good morning to Sadat Bennett, who's always with us, and good morning, Uganda. Cricket Gagamel in Machinde. One of these days in the near future, maybe you should stand for LC chairperson. Just saying. We are also joined by Felix Nkunda. Felix, how are you?
Well, I'm all right. Good morning.
It's a pleasure to see you after a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's been quite a while, but it's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And I also love your hair, just as Robert said.
Thank you very much.
It's, yeah, but anyway, good morning all our viewers. Hope you're okay. And of course, today is Wednesday. Now, Wednesday is seemingly maybe half week. One would say it's half week or what, but it's one of those days where at least you start to peep into the weekend. You just have to raise your head and then you start looking at Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I guess that would mean you have been able to cover fairly some of the things you wanted to do in a week. And of course, for us, it also means that we're just 10 days away from Christmas. There's that old song that says, "So this is Christmas." And I think there was a very beautiful radio by Celine Dion. And they started counting days from the 15th to the 16th. The things you do 10 days away from Christmas.
Oh yes, the song is called 10 Days of Christmas. Yeah. So they mentioned the gifts that they get on each one of those 10 days. On the 10th day of Christmas, my mama gave to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is actually Destiny's Child, which just did that song. And so I don't know what you're doing for these 10 days. Create an activity for you to do and follow. Starting today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So by the time the climax is Christmas, you indeed have a diary or a gallery of activities you've done, or probably a couple of things you've done.
Okay, all right, well, thank you so much. Allow us to kickstart you informative of what's taking place both locally and internationally, but starting off with our local stories.
And we'll begin with the by-elections scheduled for Thursday this week in Kayunga district, where yesterday the NRM chairperson, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, was in Kayunga to garner support for the NRM candidate. President Yoweri Museveni rallied people of Kayunga district to support NRM candidate Andrew Muwonge in Kayunga Local Council 5 by-elections slated for this Thursday. During the campaign, the president warned the NRM supporters in the district against disunity, noting that the party interests are bigger than individual interest. Disunity and intrigue have been identified as one of the challenges facing NRM party support in Kayunga. The last day of campaigning, rallies in Kayunga district chairperson's race have been heat up, mainly between the NRM candidate Andrew Muwonge and that of the National Unity Platform Harriet Nakwade. President Museveni, in a scientific campaign, joined the NRM candidate in drumming up support at Kayonza Church of Uganda Primary School in Kayunga District, where he met party leaders from village to district level.
In the same regard, police fired live bullets and tear gas to disperse supporters of NUP's Harriet Nakwede ahead of the final campaign trail. The smoky tear gas followed an earlier warning by the Electoral Commission to the NUP camp ahead of President Museveni's campaign rally for the NRM candidate. In what later could attract dramatic scenes, a NUP candidate for the Kayunga LC5 chairperson's race, Harriet Nakwede, opted to go against the Electoral Commission warning, refraining her from not holding a campaign rally on the day scheduled for the national chairman of the ruling party, NRM President Museveni, to campaign for the NRM candidate in the hotly contested race in Kayunga Town Council. Nakwede, who was flanked by Mityana Municipality MP Francis Zake, insisted on carrying her own campaigns. Though all started well as they set off from the new party offices in Kayunga, along the way they were intercepted by the anti-riot police.
Away from politics, we now look at teenage pregnancies, where stakeholders in the Rwenzori region are concerned with the increasing cases of early marriages and teenage pregnancies as the country nears reopening of schools in January next year. Reports from different districts indicate that cases of incest have also increased since the closure of schools in 2020-2021. This 17-year-old girl, name withheld, is a victim of rape and was impregnated by her auntie's husband. Data from Kasese Health Offices indicate that about 128 health centers indicate that 6,328 teenage pregnancies in girls between the age of 15 to 19 years of age were recorded in 2021 alone, while 90 cases were below 15 years. Asimwe Zainab, the Kasese District Senior Probation Officer, explains that in Kasese High Court sessions, out of 55 cases handled, 40 are defilement cases. Of these, 7 are biological parents defiling their own daughters. The situation is not any different from Bundi Bujo. Leaders attribute the problem to poor parenting and safeguarding of children.
And finally, on our local scene, we get to look at the Ministry of Education and Sports under the Emergency Response Project, having trained 14,353 head teachers in public primary schools and 131 deputy head teachers in secondary schools on preparedness ahead of the much anticipated reopening of schools in January 2022, their roles and responsibilities. While opening the Education, Sports and Skill Development Review, State Minister for Higher Education John Muyingo said they embarked on inspection of schools and supported renovation of dilapidated structures to ensure a conducive environment for learning students. The Ministry of Education and Sports is reviewing its sector performance from 1st July 2020 to 30th June 2021 and is set to prioritize for 2022 into 2023. In the period under review, through the school facility grant, it boasts of having constructed 342 new classrooms, 44 teachers' houses, and lined up 1,411 VIP latrine spaces in 174 local governments. With the challenge of COVID-19, the ministry under the Emergency Response Plan availed a conditional grant of 12,472 public primary schools and 1,500,000 shillings to 1,284 secondary schools to support the implementation of SOPs. Under access and quality, the ministry printed and distributed 2,617,341 copies of home study materials for primary 5 to primary 7 learners in 28,931 private as well as public primary schools. And that brings us to a close of the recap of the stories that we've had on our local scene. Turning our attention to the international scene.
Well, of course, we'll be looking at our Omicron spreading at an unprecedented rate, World Health Organization comes out to say. Now the new Omicron variant is spreading across the globe at an unprecedented rate. The World Organization came out to warn, but all the press conference, the World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom said it was probably in many others that had not yet detected. Now surely we have learned by now that we underestimated this virus at our peril. Even if Omicron does cause less severe disease, the sheer number of cases could once again overwhelm unprepared health systems. Of course, he said. Now the Omicron variant was first identified in South Africa in November, and the country has since seen a surge in infections. President Cyril Ramaphosa, who also tested positive for COVID-19, who is currently being isolated. And a number of countries have introduced travel bans affecting South Africa and its neighbors following the emergency of the Omicron. Now, the UK removes all 11 countries from red list. The point of putting countries on the red list was to act quickly to slow the spread of the Omicron. Now it has spread in the community. The government doesn't think putting people from a limited list of countries in hotels or is actually useful anymore. It will be welcome news for many people with plans to come into the UK from countries like South Africa, Nigeria, or who had delayed their returns from those countries. But it will be frustrating for those who did not get caught up in revival of the red list, now which only started about a fortnight ago. Some people who have already paid for hotel stay want to see the government pay their costs. The travel industry wants also to restrict the movement of businesses, and of course also to up the testing measures as putting the bumpers on their recovery. At least this seems government is not prepared to do in any flare. Well, of course, in the same way, now the United Arab Emirates suspends discussion on the $23 billion weapon deal with the US. Now, United Arab Emirates has informed the United States that it is suspending discussions on the $23 billion weapons deal that includes advanced F-35 aircraft, and the Emirates Embassy in Washington, D.C. said. Now, in a statement to the Associated Press on Tuesday, the embassy said it would suspend discussions on the sale while meeting at the Pentagon scheduled for later this week. Between the two sides of their issues would actually be processed and planned. US, Israel, UAE, Bahrain launched joint naval drills in Red Sea, and of course UAE, Israel to develop unarmed military commercial vessels together. However, the UAE buys record 80 French Rafale jets in at least in $19 billion armed deal. And of course there you see Israel Prime Minister Naftali Bennett begins his first official visit to AU, and the expectations are quite huge.
Weather and nature, we look at the UN, where they have confirmed a record 38 degrees Celsius temperature for the Arctic. Now, the World Meteorological Organization has confirmed that a temperature of 38 degrees Celsius, that is 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, reached in a Siberian town last year was a record for the Arctic. The United Nations agency said on Tuesday that temperatures that hit Vakovsky on June 2020 came during a prolonged heat wave amid conditions which averaged as much as 10 degrees Celsius above normal for much of the summer over the Arctic Siberia. Now, the new Arctic record is one of the series of observations that sound the alarm bells about a changing climate, said Pateri Talas, the WMO Secretary General. Now, Vakovsky is about 115 kilometers, that is 71 miles north of the Arctic Circle, a region that is among the fastest warming in the world and is hitting more than twice the global average.
And that brings us to a wrap up of the stories that we wanted you to be most updated about regarding local, international, and also in regards to weather, nature, and climate. Speaking of which, good morning to you, Molen. Delightful to see you yet again.
Good morning once again, and a very good morning as well to our viewers. Well, we're waking up to news of the Arctic. It seems like the melting is continuing across that area, and it is all to be blamed on the rising temperatures globally. And this just shows the extent of what we mean when we talk about climate change.
Well, speaking of change, our bodies go through certain changes every single night and every single day. When you rest, your body metabolism actually does change stance. When you wake up, it is demanding for some things. And so Dr. Chirabo here has a recommendation for you this morning.
Proficient Chirabo has a recommendation for you this morning. And what you need and your body needs is, hallelujah, ginger tea, hallelujah, turmeric. These drinks are special in one way or the other because some of the ingredients you can't come across easily, then take them at the same time are being packaged or bottled in this bottle, and they will greatly boost your immune system. So every morning, make it a daily routine. Have one of these bottles to boost your immune system, to improve your digestion system as well, and of course to have a good start of your day.
Well, speaking of digestive system, one Felix has told us time and again of remedies that they used to give them for cough and flu at home. Care to share some of those remedies in such a time as this when Omicron is scaring people left, right and center?
Wow. Cough and flu, absolutely. You want to look at some of our local herbs like the leaves of a mango tree. I don't know I don't know what they call chewamara in English, but there's a plant called chewamara in Uganda. You can put some salt on the leaves and you chew. That will work instantly. And of course, sometimes honey, with those concoctions we've been doing anyway. But there's something also interesting here. Well, some of our viewers have come already into our inboxes to wish us Merry Christmases. And of course, for some of our ardent viewers, we got some news about a particular couple that I think is getting married today, that has been watching, at least continuously been watching and been part of the Good Morning Uganda family. And I think that's Salongo Charles Chatcom, who will be wedding Nalongo Bikara Helen. We must say we congratulate you guys upon that beautiful decision. We'll be joining you or some of us. But we pray and believe that it's a good journey for you guys. And that is Salongo Charles Chatcom, a born of Hoima. I know that place is probably closer to Molen, I think, somehow, in terms of geography.
Does that mean the blessings also coming closer?
Nalongo blessings.
No.
Nalongo, please.
Probably the wedding blessings. No.
Molen is doing like this blessings coming closer.
You don't want Nalongo blessings?
Hey, my dear.
Hey.
I don't want them to know I'm not in the house. Blessings.
So shall be their spiritual. Wishes to them.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Robert Trevor, what do we have today in our agenda for this day?
Well, the East African community is targeting this festive season to have at least 4 million tourists visit the region. And we are going to be focusing on promotion of domestic tourism at such a time to ensure that we can achieve those numbers. And of course, they are ensuring that in this region, if I leave Uganda and go to Kenya, I'm treated, I pay the same rates. I'm not an international tourist, so I'm a domestic tourist at that level. And we expect that is an official from the Ministry of Tourism, but also one of the people in this sector will be joining me on set at the hour of 8.
Okay, all right. And that 8 o'clock hour here in Good Morning Uganda to this Wednesday morning is going to be crowned by Ruben Pima Chivirango, who's going to be talking about, of course, giving you an update in the NBF fixtures that did take place in the course of this morning, as well as the conversation about Marshall in terms of his relationship with the new interim manager at Manchester United and how it's being given the option of, packing his bags and leaving in the January window, and of course local sports in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League. But in our 7 o'clock hour, we will be kicking it off with a focal discussion on Felix.
Yeah, basically we'll be looking at the East African community and trying to draw major focus on what's happening between Uganda and Kenya in terms of agricultural trade in particular.
Okay, after which we'll look at the dailies this morning, and then Mol and Kenyana will be crowning it up with a discussion around which plant or which animal today.
Well, we're not looking at plants and animals, we are looking in the sky. And there is a comet that, this particular comet takes over 3,000 years to reach Earth. So this could be the only time that we see it here on Earth. And it is now said to be rotating in this December. So we only have a few days. And with a comet, I think locally, it's what a lot of people used to call chibunomu. So it appears in the sky like a meteorite. So it's just, you keep looking in the sky until you...
No, but,
Yeah.
but
And you make a wish.
Yeah, you
the
make a
Chibunomu we
wish.
have
You
seen.
only have a few days. Yeah, but you see, those ones are always, forecasted, and people are not aware that these are actually meteorological events, or, satellites can actually easily detect them. So I don't believe in the chibunomu thing, but
Why?
if you can make a wish, make a wish. I mean, who knows?
That is if you see it.
That is if you see it. So you only have a few days. It will take the whole of December to actually move around Earth, of which it will take another, maybe probably 35,000 years to appear. So our generation and next generations, no one will be able to see it again.
So we are the lucky generation.
We're the lucky generation. That is if you see it.
You don't sleep, you wait for it.
And that's exactly what we mean when we say we kickstart you off, keeping you informative of the interesting, peculiar events that happen around us. You may not know that they're actually there, they exist, and they are real, such as what Molen will be sharing with us. Anyway, before we wrap up this hour, we do have a poll question with which we want your engagement.
What can be done to reduce the increasing numbers of teenage pregnancies now? What can be done to reduce the increasing numbers of teenage pregnancies? And of course, we would want to hear from you, given the stories that are most current nowadays about how young girls are getting pregnant, and of course, out of cases of defilement, incest, just to mention but a few. But be able to share with us through our social medias. That is #UBCGMU. And of course, for some of you who are using WhatsApp, our number is 0709 and of course 60 25 92. And as for some of you who can use YouTube, you can also leave a comment there.
All right, thank you so much, Felix. Allow us to take a short commercial break, leave you with a song for the day, and meet you in our 7 o'clock hour. Good morning.
really been emphasized
authentically
is
symbolic
phasing
and
out of coal.
insightful.
We should work
But now,
so
just
hard
after
to
that
evacuate this
pact
power.
was put across,
Behind the
then there was
headlines
changing
every
of words.
Wednesday at
And
10
this is
p.m.
critical
with Charles
because
Odong
if
Talk.
we are looking at phasing out coal,
Just
and
use
then someone
MTN
changes
to
the
make
word
calls,
from phasing
send
out.
SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs.
Nyombe Marusi Ronald Ngazwarua Micholo star alo aro toi hash mi daily milu airtime je micho mi MB data je then milu choti milu su in the banlu sender balu mi call customer can lo mi call early or mini in the sender.
The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs.
Mariam, in your Lantoro, Tabedo Ginger, Tadio Star 185, Tachu Lorigo TV for a month. After 2 days, your Airtel Jobinojo Goran Simus and now winning 100,000.
The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my mother spends time with me. I hope all mothers will like my mother. I want my mother to reach out to all mothers. She knows how important it is to be a good mother. I promise to help my mother inspire other mothers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Good morning to you once again. It is Wednesday, 15th December 2021. Now this leaves us with 10 days to Christmas, which is good news for so many of us, but also it means that we are in the middle of the month, just like that. I mean, yesterday was 1st December, today is 15th December. The next thing you know is we're telling you to be safe on the 31st of December, and voila, you will be in a new year. Question is, are you going to remain the same, or in these remaining days of December, are you going to actually adapt to a new self that can be conversant with the next stage of your life? Only you can decide. My name is Priscilla Naloga alongside Robert Rebel and Felix Nkunde as we kickstart off your day. In the 7 o'clock hour, we get to have a focal discussion point. But before we get any further, we want to give you an insight into our poll daily this morning for your engagement.
The question would be, what can be done to reduce the increasing number of teenage pregnancies. What can be done to reduce the increasing numbers of teenage pregnancies, and of course be able to share your thoughts or opinions on hashtag UBC, that is GMU, on Twitter. But also for some of you on WhatsApp, you can use 0709 60 25 92.
All right, thank you so much, Felix. Now we want to look at an address towards the trade wars between Uganda and Kenya that seem to be enormous, continuous, and a never-ending song that we see between us and our brothers across the border. Most recent is Cabinet having resolved to retaliate against Kenya for banning poultry products from Uganda. Now this was revealed by the Minister for East African Affairs, Rebecca Kadaga, who was meeting members of the Poultry Farmers Association who were delivering a petition to her office of denial of their products to crossing into Kenya for one reason or another. Of course, Kenya being the biggest market for Uganda's poultry farming, you do have Uganda's eggs, up to 70% of them that are locally produced, being moved to our neighboring countries, one of them being Kenya, the largest consumer. That has not been the only challenge there. It started off with maize into last year, beginning of this year. In between there, we've had the fish trade war between us and Kenya, and now it has stemmed down into the poultry farmers also being affected by Kenya saying, no, we cannot have these Ugandan products on the Kenyan side. We can't be trading in these particular products, which is causing a bit of friction here and there between borders, traders, and now also, leaders of both countries, which begs us the question of asking ourselves, what are the underlying causes of such trade wars that we have been seeing over time between Uganda and Kenya? I'll start with you, Felix.
When you have interstate transactions, the expectation is that every country has something to offer, and in the guised introductory aspects of contractual or agreement relationships, you have two major players. You'll have the offerer and the offeree. Now, that would conclusively mean that one of the players has something to offer and the other has the mandate either to reject or accept. In fact, unless there is a sub-existing obligatory pact, it is not wrong for the offeree to refuse an offer. When you go into the conceptual beginning aspects of contractual relations or agreements, there are three ways an offer can be replied or dealt with. One, an offer could be accepted, an offer could be rejected, or given a counter offer. And all of them are valid, even in terms of contractual relations, or even agreements or protocol or conventions for that matter. However, in respect of the sub-existing obligatory mandate, as I said earlier, the norms and whims of contractual relations may be sidelined because of that pre-existing requirement. Let me give an example in terms of relationships. If we are married, there are some orders or ways of life that may be severed because of that sub-existing relationship of marriage. For example, even if you are married to Chirabo, let's say Priscilla, hit the highest, and sometimes accidents are caused by without your notice or trying to rush, as long as that title has. Also keep in mind that there's curfew, so you don't make errors. Implied you are a co-owner to run because of the existing able to be somewhere obligation. Plan your journeys now later, in the absence of that obligation, we didn't need you even if you buy things or even yourself. I have had women in marriages say, now we also want to remind you of our question just briefly. So we'll be looking at what some of the responses you've given us, and clearly please keep them
as long as you carry the name,
it comes what more should be done to improve contractual or that obligation, matrimonial obligation. In the same way, when you talk about these wars, Kenya and Uganda, The question for us to start with, as you
against
asked, what,
the COVID-19.
is there a sub-existing obligatory,
you did come out to share with
let's
us
say,
some of your comments,
arrangement?
and we believe
Is Kenya obliged?
Well, of course, we
are
have,
they breaching an obligation or a covenant or a protocol or an agreement?
Good
That should be the
morning.
beginning.
Uganda family government has
And I
done
think
its best to
me when I was
encourage
hearing
to go for vaccination,
the responses
though many
of our
people
minister,
have not been able
I
to
think
do
there
that.
should be
And Good
directly
Morning Uganda,
related
this is,
to
that
if
is
there is an obligation.
Chasho Fred, director,
Now, by
Stift
inception
High
of
School,
the East African
mandatory
community,
vaccination
there
is
was obligation.
definitely the way to go.
That's why
Of course,
Ugandans
more
are bitter.
Your messages will be
Because
giving you as
I
we
want to believe that
come
there's
in,
very much
one by
Kenyan
one there.
products
We
on
hope
this
that
market.
you'll be able to share with us
Whether
more
of quality, whether of low quality, I haven't interfaced with many. The only thing I think I take from Kenya is basically yogurt. There's that yogurt,
Actually, when you look
Brookside or something like that.
Uganda is their #1 export destination within the region, Kenya.
You can imagine.
So we are their biggest market in East
Actually, something to add from what I said earlier, that even in the absence of an existing obligatory relationship in terms of trade, it can exist impliedly by what Robert has said. By the mere fact that we are your major recipients of goods, there could be an implied existing demand that you people should be able to reciprocate that. So that's basically the thesis or the beginning of why we are where we are. Uganda feels that it should be honored in terms of trade relationships, and Kenya is not doing the same. Now, because of those sub-existing obligatory requirements that either are in existence by paper and pen or even impliedly by what Robert has said, that Uganda being the most destination for their products.
Okay, all right. So in line with what Felix has shared with us, addressing the continued trade wars between us and Kenya, you get to look at things that he has mentioned. He has talked about the players. You do have the offerer and the one that is offeree, and those two definitely contribute to the kind of arrangement expectedly in regards to trade, any form of trade, be it human resource, product, produce, or anything of that kind. So looking at that, then what is the impact should such obligations be not respected or not be committed to or met? What is the impact that we foresee out of these trade relations that we have?
First, I'll begin at regional level as the East African community. When we have such happening, definitely it has an impact on the failure of successful implementation of this community, because one of the pillars we agreed was free movement of goods and persons. We looked at East Africa, we looked at our big population and said we can use this population in terms of trade, in terms of employment, for economic benefits. That if Uganda has a lot of eggs and they have more than what they can, so let's export to another country. If Uganda has people that are well learned in this field, let them take this service and get employment in Kenya. So first and foremost, this was something that we sought for, we craved for, and we said when we build this as a globe, just like we've seen other regional globes go, the SADC, we've seen, even when we talk about USA, these are states that united together. And now we've seen how they have become a superpower over and over, because there's free movement of goods, there's free movement of persons. So to a bigger approach, I'll look at that angle. Then when we come between these two countries, first and foremost, when you talk about 70% of our eggs being bought in Kenya, it's now coming to 3 years since this ban was slapped. Then we had the milk issue. Of course, recently we exported beyond our region. That was our lacto milk.
Yeah, to Zambia.
To Zambia. So that alone has an impact first to the farmers, and there's a trickle-down effect that a farmer who has been specializing in poultry products can even fail to send their children to school, because this is their market that they have been looking at. If you remember when we had the times of that almost total lockdown in Uganda, you saw how our eggs had flooded this market. You'd even get a trough of eggs at about 5,000. But when we opened up, now they go to South Sudan, a trough of eggs has gone up to maybe about 12,000. So it has an economic impact. And then second, if this is not handled very well, This is how a discrimination of persons. This is how sometimes wars can start. Because Uganda will feel we've opened up so much to you people. But you're doing the same. So what happens? That is why you see people beginning to discriminate others because they feel they are being exploited in the name of a contract we agreed. Because if Kenya products are continuing to come, that is why our minister, Rebecca Kadaga, said that cabinet, we've been patient. We've acted gentle for a long time. We cannot continue as our arms are open and we are giving, your arms are closed. So let's also identify specific agricultural products that we can also ban their entry to Uganda. So it has an economic impact, and if not dealt with, this can escalate to even something much bigger that will take both countries a longer time to come to a solution to solve.
Okay. Speaking of solutions and referring to the statements of the Minister for East African Affairs, Rebecca Kadaga, the reiteratory statements that she made that, you know what, if they are banning particular products from Uganda to be exported into Kenya, why don't we do the same? And she wants to engage the Minister of Agriculture, identify particular products, items, produce that come in from Kenya that should also be stopped or banned as a way of retaliating in response, of course, to what they have done in regards to the petition that was presented to them. What is the effect of this kind of decision? Should it actually make itself embedded into a conversation and mushroom into a reality, Felix?
Well, you see, I don't know if I should focus on what the Honorable Minister said, because first and foremost, I love her so much and I respect her. If I focus on what she said, I may roll a bullet. I mean, roll a bullet, but I mean, roll a bullet. But I know that these challenges are not of most recent. I know that we have been having issues with Kenya in particular, in terms of what we share. But there is something we need also to appreciate, and most recent. Robert has talked about the time of COVID where we were stuck with goods for about 6 months. With goods, we were stuck with eggs, we were stuck with everything. Bananas became almost a bunch was for about 3,000, but we were stuck. I think we should shift our focus. How about we shift our focus to make, you see, when you're faced with a problem, you have an opportunity to get a solution. Kenya, and as I said, it brings back to the issue of obligation. You have also a right, you may stop the goods of Kenya. Does that create market for your eggs? Is it really a solution? And I think this should be the biggest fear.
Sometimes things have to get worse for them to get better.
You think? Exactly. That is one of the ways. But how sustainable? That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's the same thing, potato, and then, okay, then tomorrow they also block, then you block. What are we doing?
Then finally we analyze and
we are looking at economies.
Yes.
I think we should, how sustainable is that? You get it? Okay, for example, what if you stop some of these goods and then Kenya also stops the others? Then you stop, then what's happening?
A blocked economy.
That's the thing. I think our discussion should be more deep. I find those resolutions narrow and a bit opaque, in my opinion. I find them a bit short, very, very, very short-sighted. That then we also look for products and then we block them. That's myopic, in my opinion. I think we need to find conclusive and lasting solutions to the issue of markets. That discussion should be entered into. Instead of contacting the Minister for Agriculture to find products to ban, let's contact the Minister of Agriculture on starting to probably lobby for things like value addition to some of these farm products. Market for eggs is not only in Kenya. Let's be serious.
Kenyans, very short-sighted. It's okay. That maybe they also look for products and then we block them. That's my opinion, in my opinion. I think we need to find different inclusive.
The biggest problem when we opened up this African community, you know, there's
lasting solutions to the issue of
states.
Markets.
I think we are dealing in so many
that
similar
discussion
things
should be entered in that way. Instead of contacting the minister for agriculture to find products to ban, let's contact the minister.
Kenya in terms of farming, I don't know if you've I was in Kenya for some time, Kericho there, and trying to look at that. They're more advanced than Ugandans. Here Uganda, the biggest person in poultry maybe could have 50,000, but when you go to Kenya, you go to a village where so they are so much advanced in terms of
this world.
Okay, apart from that, on average, I use the word on average. The secularas are beyond, but on average, if you look at a person who has so much birds in a community. But when you go to Kenya, both dairy, poultry. So when we went into this community, we forgot how best we can protect ourselves. Look at the hotel sector. Before, Kenya was much better, and you'd go to all these hotels and you have Kenyans. Uganda's upped its game now, that we've even invested much in training institutions. So Uganda will come to a point where you have many people that can take up these jobs. So in this treaty, how did we focus on protecting? Otherwise, these wars are going to continue. That a Kenyan will not accept their milk to flood, because you accepted Ugandan milk to flood their market. So but this protection mechanism will come up.
But you see also, actually, in my own submission earlier, I meant to say that
I go to him.
In as much as we may have challenges of similar production lines, and which this guides the purpose of cooperative advantage, you see, our pace, we cannot run the same pace as the East African community, because we are all challenged with different problems. We all have different opportunities. Kenya may be good in something else. We can't wait on Kenya. Honestly and truly, why are we not exporting egg products to Europe, to Latin America, to wherever, to America or wherever? The globe is big. Why? That should be the discussion. That, okay, how do we preserve as much as we may have
place.
Challenges or similar production lines to America, why can't you take eggs to America?
Which then begs the question, what are the potential solutions that we can harness right now? One, of course, in respect to peace, you have to consider security within the region. You have to consider diplomacy within the region. We also have to consider respect, brotherhood respect within the region while we are engaging in this, threading across different borders in East Africa. What are the possible solutions that we can take away from what the minister is recommending?
First, you have to look for what we have and what others don't have, rather than fostering.
We may have challenges or similar production lines to America. Why can't you take
going into construction of roads in Democratic Republic of Congo? You see that Congo, because of the insecurity they have had for some time, it's a virgin market. Most of our products can go there. When you go to South Sudan, of late you find that most of our products are going to South Sudan, because by the time they get to where Uganda is in terms of peace, using modern methods of farming, so these are still virgin territories. How do we ensure we partake of these virgin territories, rather than thinking that we can continue carry out with competition, which may not be very healthy and where we may not have an advantage over a country like Kenya? Then second, the East African community. I think we need to go back to the drawing board and find proper mechanisms through which we can handle some of these things. We can't say maybe you bring this amount of trays so that we have this healthy trade. But it seems the East African community, either all these countries are lacking moral authority to handle issues like this. Because when you look at Rwanda, you have a closed border. When you look at Kenya now, you see what is happening. When you go down, it's only maybe for Tanzania, which also, by the way, is very diplomatic. But there's a way they do their things, and you'll understand that here they are finding a diplomatic way of saying no, contrary to maybe what Kenya and Rwanda could do. So the East African community, it's upon them to find a body that can handle such incidences. For a long time now, we've had a border that has been closed. where's the East African community into this? We have products that are now, where's the East African community? I think they need to interest themselves more than this, than fighting for positions and jobs at Yala. We need to go deeper into that.
All right, while Robert is asking where is the East African community intervention in all of this, here in Uganda, you had the Uganda Poultry Farmers Association taking their petition to the Minister for East African Affairs. Who is the one in charge on the other side of Kenya? It's a different case altogether. I think the biggest question is under directly whom or which organ, which ministry, which agency should these matters be directed to in regards to handling?
Well, the East Africa, in its formation, I think it exhibited a number of lacunas that have left mostly many unanswered questions. The evidence of the same are the various questions. There's a very big political question. It's a political question. In as much as there's a summit, there's a council, there's all this, there's a big political question. Because of the failure of countries to relinquish fairly some sovereignty.
In the spirit of the community.
Exactly. The absence of, you see, the community stands below the states. That is where everything failed. The community stands below the states, so the community can't stand up to chastise the state because it is directly below the state. And that's the problem. That even when all this happen, you see that they are handled more internally than on a regional level.
Because when you reflect back on the maize issue, they stated that there's a substance that is in our maize, that the aflatoxin, that in Kenya is not permissible, and yet here
but
in
Ugandan were eating the same maize.
And we're eating it. Again, it goes back to exactly what you're saying. When you look at the fishery issue that we also had, they're allowed to mature fish at between a certain period, which is not accepted in Uganda, and when they come to Uganda, that is a crime.
Absolutely, and that's the problem, that the lack of, you see, everything starts with political leadership. You want it or not.
Political federation is coming to the end of the community. If you look at, we had the political federation is something we are getting to later. It is even, we have the same currency will come before that, free movement, the customs came before that. So there is still independence of these states.
You see, and that's what I say, that state sovereignty comes above integration. So there is no will. And actually, that's why I told you that when countries come in, yet they're actually not in. That is what I talked about earlier, the obligatory mandate, where there is no obligation. So even if you go to East African, the Court of Justice, at the end of the day, it may not compel, it may give a ruling. We have heard of various cases, the Mbid Mukasa Foundation, all this. But I'll tell you, as a matter of fact, all they can say or do is simply as much as they can. However, the community in putting or in rolling out, actually it talks about this, that you report this if in case of this, your breach of this. But at the end of the day, how applicable are these? Is this, and that's where it brings me back to what you said earlier. The spirit of integration can only manifest with the removal of sovereignty. You cannot integrate, say, and again I want to bring it to marriage. You cannot say I want to be married but also have my rights as a single person.
Okay.
Now that is what we are having in East Africa. We say that we are married, yet you also say that me I want to be also as a single chidago, that I want to come back anytime I want because I said I'm single even if we are married. So that's what is happening in this African community. We said we are in a marriage, but everyone said, me, I also don't want to, I want to stay with my boyfriend, like, you know, we are going to get married, but I want to keep my boyfriend. I'm going to stay married, but I want to keep my girlfriend. So, once in a while you peep in the marriage, then you go back and also peep with the...
And that will be domestic violence, where one country...
Which is what we are saying.
We do not want your end. We are going to report. to hit back.
All right. Looking at this marriage we're talking about, total trade between the marriage between Uganda and Kenya has stood at 1.2 billion US dollars in the last year. If you stem it from the 168 million US dollars back in 1999, and this is according to Uganda Trade Ministry data, and that gives you hope that there's been some fruit bearing between the partnerships and the trade that we have been having. Of course, more details in the dailies that we are going to be looking at thereafter, but just a reminder of our poll daily this morning that we request you give us your thoughts and your opinion.
And of course, that will be what can be done to reduce the increasing numbers of teenage pregnancies. Be able to hit our social media, hashtag UBCGMU, and of course, WhatsApp is 0709 60 25 92.
Okay, all right. So we do have a respondent here on WhatsApp saying government has to organize teenage education of the threats related to teenage pregnancies. And they're saying Merry Christmas. This is Naban Anthony. Well, Naban Anthony, thank you so much. We'll be looking at more of your feedback later on after the dailies this morning.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
The program lineup on UBC. Brought to you by Roofings, Strength of a Nation. You by introducing the all-new Roofings TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend services. Roofings, Strength of a Nation.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs.
Mariam, in your Lantoro, Tabedo Jinja. Tadio star 185, Tacho Lorigo TV for a month. After 2 days, your Airtel Jobinojo Goran Simu, Sana winning 100,000.
The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back from that break. We are here to ensure that we keep you informed with what is happening locally, internationally, but also in the print media. Now we look at the New Vision, we look at the Daily Nation and the Daily Monitor. Very big headline there. Government releases 113 billion for school reopening. That is traditional school term extended from 12 weeks to 14. Still in the education, there is Senior 1 Physics, Senior 2 English, Senior 3 Biology and Chemistry. Now to Kayunga by-elections. Museveni combs Kayunga for votes. That is for the NRM candidate. And Democratic Republic of Congo president speaks out on UPDF deployment. But also bride in coma, that is Medic squeezed. And we see minister outlines education successes that have been achieved and the parenting column for you, how to help a child who wets their bed. Felix, over to you.
The
Daily Monitor, Uganda and Kenya trade wars explode, and America-Uganda security talks to continue despite sanctions. Envoys say payments of road user fees for buses start in January, and of course Lumu's art adds life, color and creates therapy in living spaces. Museveni woos Kayunga voters as police nope crash. They see a photo of some people here who have bandages, and I see Zake as well. But of course also inside the papers, government orders new speed limit ahead of Christmas, and Congo limits time for UPDF offensive. Now here in today's history, Binai is freed from house arrest, and US declares an end to war in Iraq.
In the New Vision, help my preteen child is shy and very sensitive. Well, how do I do that? The Kenyans reply that, our 8-year-old wets his bed. How can I stop him? Eric's hope will not call for caning. Still, we look at the COVID-19 tracker. New confirmed cases 87. Positivity rate, that is 1.9. Death 0, and total deaths so far is 3,269. Once again, go get that jab so that we stop death as a result of COVID-19, but also perfect the standard operating procedures to avoid spreading and contracting COVID-19. Today in history, it was on this very date, the 15th of December, the year 1974, when Amin issues orders to central bank. On the same date again and month, but the year 2012, helicopter clash kills, that is Nigeria governor.
Now in sports, Villa clock ticks, and we see stories of that is a dedication from Daily Monitor in the USPA award, and Curry falls short of record, that is in NBA, but also Uganda fly to SA with hope, and Uganda eye more developments after regional water polo Trump at home. Now at Arteta, we had to strip Aubameyang of band. Okay, we hope who's taking the band again. Now stories of dedication from Daily Monitor in the USPA awards, and of course UCU displays mighty there in NBA.
In the New Vision Sports this morning, government organizes COVID run. We have the Minister of State for General Duties, Mary Karoro Krut, explaining more about that. And in the third of the 6-part series of Sam Simbwa, he says, I am a master. But don't forget these and more. Ruben is going to be here to give you all the updates in the world of sports and those interesting conversations in the sports arena.
Now, of course, in the Daily Nation, still the major stories will be about politics. Now, in 2019, House passed motion to reduce retirement age to 55 years, with proponents citing need to create jobs. Now, return of retirees, of course, is basically in politics. We see students gone rogue, and the law, basically all people basically retired will be heading into politics. Basically, the papers again are mad with much of politics, and Hulu Raila strategy for grand coalition. That is what is in the papers. Of course, get yourself some of these copies and you'll be able to get an insight in the stories that are in the black and white. But of course, far from that, we want to know how the streets are looking this morning.
Well, fellas, while you're in black and white, I am in red zones pretty much, especially around Entebbe Road. You do have the Kampala flyover taking shape. The pillars are up, and now the flyover itself is starting to actually be visible to the public. Now that is definitely indicator that there's now going to be more jam than ever, coupled with the fact that it's a Christmas season and people are shopping left, right and center, and this is a communal trade road. One way pretty much for people that are coming in from Wakiso district in the sides of Entebbe Road, right from the airport on to Queensway. You also do have Nsambia that does have a direct interaction with this area code, and the areas of Mengo and Tisenyu also do have a constant access to the Queensway area code. So around the Pan-African Freedom Square, where you do have Umeme pillars there, you do have a diversionary route that has been closed off because of the construction that is ongoing. Much of of this site is where the Kampala flyover is taking place here along the Nsambia Road and right next to the Entebbe Road. The red zones you're seeing there is simply because there's diversionary routes here and there, and they get narrower and narrower by the day, and that means that there's going to be more and more jam as the days do come through. Jam that can actually have you stay in this area code for 45 minutes to 1 hour. And so if you have plans and if you have set your meeting for 7 a.m., you might want to be on the road at 5:30 past this place. Otherwise, at 6 o'clock, it starts to build up, and indicating of it is the fact that you now do have 21 minutes to the top of the hour. And look at what it looks like. Red zones right from Mengo, Chisenyi, interacting with Katwe area code. You do have red zones for traffic that is coming in from Chibuya through Katwe onto Queensway and getting into downtown Kampala. You also do have a long straight over red zone that is interacting with Nsambia Road right there. And of course, because of the construction, there's many other small centers upon which the construction company is actually placing its zones, and that means that it's affecting the flow of traffic, especially for Nsambia near Sharing Youth Center and alongside the diversionary route there between the hospital and also the rest of Nsambia Road. So that is definitely something for you to be alert about. Also, that work is affecting business industry in the Mukwano area code this morning, but as you can see, surprisingly, it's a green line in Mukwano area code, which is worrying. Either something has been blocked, because what usually happens at about this time is that the traffic from Ginger Road, the traffic from 8th Street, the traffic that is coming in from Moyo Road is definitely coming into the Mukwano Road. But because of the many potholes that are now dangerous and deeper right now, it slows down the traffic that is going onto Mukwano Road. So it looks like Mukwano Road is quote unquote clear, but really the issue is that there's so many dangerous potholes that people have to slowly maneuver their way around before they get to the rest of Mukwano Road. So let this not give you an indication that it's actually clear, because it's not. It's very cumbersome within these access routes here. But away from that, looking at your responses this morning to our daily poll, what can be done to reduce the increasing numbers of teenage pregnancies? Hashtag UBCJMU. Now on Twitter, we do have David Sekayinga responding and saying there has to be much effort in behavioral change to the parents and to children themselves. Okay, so it stems down to behavioral change for him. Now we do have other people that have responded here. We do have a message that came in. Good morning, comrades. Parents and religious leaders are to blame because parents ignored their duties. We have Amina Dar from Arua City who is talking about reduce teenage pregnancies in Uganda. Schools should, one, reopen by all means. Two, parents should always provide basic needs to their girls so that they don't ask from boys and sugar daddies, and there should be sex education by parents to their children. And finally, apprehending the perpetrators of teenage pregnancies. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a prosperous new 2022. Well, thank you so much. We do have Chasho Fred from Sironko. Greetings to you. Thank you so much for waking up to Good Morning Uganda. And another message coming in. Good morning Uganda. My solution for the top teenage pregnancies is 1, keeping our girls in school. 2, empower girls with sex education so that they understand the consequences that come along with early engagements. We need to foster parenting about their roles in raising a girl child, and then also shared responsibility. Both the girl and boy in caution must weigh the consequences. And 5, they have not mentioned 5, but that is coming in from Robert in Luero. Well, thank you so much, Robert in Luero, for your recommendations there. At the end of the day, it all stems down to 1, when it comes to sexual education, it should be now more than ever, put out in schools, especially as they reopen. It should be added to the curriculum in one way or another, but also shared responsibility. Make the boy as responsible as the girl is being made for the pregnancy that has occurred between the two parties. I think that will go a long way in teaching people a lesson or two within the communities. That's a good recommendation, Robert. Thank you so much, and greetings to the people of Luelo that have woken up to Good Morning Uganda. Now, speaking speaking of which, Mola and Kenyana did speak of a comet earlier on. There's a movie that is coming out, or has actually come out, by Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's Don't Look Up. It's titled Don't Look Up, right? Yes, and it's talking about the comet, and then this morning you're talking about the comet, so I'm worried. Am I seeing a comet?
Well, you just have a small window to see this comet, and coincidentally enough, well, it's also called Leonard, so it's kind of close to Leonardo. And looking at what the movie is all about, we continue to explore what the skies are contributing to our world, and you know, the Earth as we know it. So there is a lot actually in the movie that are similar to what we're seeing even with this comet. So it's interesting to see that we only have a small window to look at this comet. Now, astronomers have said that comet Leonard is only likely to be around for this December. So new comet in town, you only have a few weeks from now to have a chance to look at it, and we're locally saying it's what is known as Chibunomu sometimes. So when you look in the sky, it will appear as a star. So this particular comet was first discovered this January, and that is by the University of Arizona and by the researcher called Greg Leonard, and I think that has been named after him, who is also at the planetary laboratory. And having discovered this comet, he says that it only takes 35,000 years to continue with its path towards the sun. So after December, we won't be able to see it until after 35,000 years. Now you can only imagine that there is going to be a lot of generations even after us that won't have a chance to see this comet. And also scientists are saying this is so far the best and brightest comet that you can see this year, and has been you know, forecasted by it can be seen at least for areas that have telescopes and you know, satellites that will be able to actually project it in many of the areas around around the skies. Now, what is interesting about comets is that these are rare, or we can call them celestial, you know, kind of stuff. They are rare. It's only just a few times in the year, and not even every year, that you're able to see a comet. That is why sometimes it comes as a surprise. Someone looks at it and is like, oh my God. And I think that's how they even started calling it Chibunomu, because it's kind of rare. It will come at a very fast speed in its path, and you will only see it as if it's, you know, this bright thing in the skies, and just a few seconds it will disappear and you'll only see the stars. But only that with this comet Leonard, we're looking at it at a possibility that it will stay even after, you know, it has shine bright within the skies. It will stay. So at least telescopes will be able to project it as a star, and it will be moving away. So you just look at it as if it is something that is moving, and some people actually confuse it like one of those, you know, crafts in the skies that will be moving at a very slow pace. But at least some areas where it is likely, the University of Arizona has put out those projections from telescopes. They will be able to see it move across. But also, I think what is related to this, and locals call Chibunomu, are the meteorites. Now, meteorites will only appear as if, you know, it's kind of some fiery flare in the sky. Now, those fiery flares do reach the Earth, so for them, they do not continue to circle around the Earth or even moving to other planets. They will just fall on Earth, but it's hard to project where it's going to fall, and those are kind of rare. So they will also show as if they are Chibunomu. It's like fiery. You look at the fire and it will just pass, and in projection it will be up in the sky, so it's very hard to know where it's falling, but those eventually reach the Earth and, you know, wash away. And sometimes I think most of the areas that they hit will feel it as if, you know, it's kind of a lightning strike, but at a very, very high speed, and sometimes it's not easily noticed as a flare, but people will think it's lightning or something, you know, out of the ordinary, and you know, just something that is hard to explain. But these are things that happen within the sky, and nothing to do with climate change. These have been natural events that have occurred over the years, and continue to be around. But what has something to do with climate change is the lawsuit against Shell that is over South Africa that is still ongoing. Now, yesterday we did have more protesters again also looking into the same, that is across the European Commission. Now, with this week we will have another hearing from Friends of the Earth who are protesting, who are taking Shell to courts of law to see that they have to stop the extraction of more gas. But in the same event, we also look at also Greenpeace and also part of Friends of the Earth also taking it to protest to look at the issue that gas should stop. And they're also looking at the fact that nuclear products have not been cleared to where they should be put there, where they should be deposited after. So now this is all a big talk about gas. We are trying to make sure that this is taken away from Earth. But if we see companies continuing to explore more into gas, then it becomes a problem. And which is why now big companies that are into the oil and gas sector like Shell are being taken to court. But also, I think what Greenpeace is trying to do is make sure that they are accountable for what they're doing. And they're saying time is up. So there has been an ongoing negotiations within the European Commission on what they are moving forward in terms of gas. So they have, again, this morning we came to the news that they have postponed their decision for more 24 hours. Now, which is why this is pissing off most of the people that are activists to the cause, saying that you keep pushing and pushing, and it seems like time is up for gas. We want this to be up and over with. So they are looking for a decision to be made, and the EC are putting more 24 hours. It seems like they are delaying the inevitable. Either tell us there's going to be more commitments when it comes to dropping gas, or at least you have a plan to make sure you slow down the use of gas, because this is what is contributing. And so far from even the carbon emissions that we were getting from Europe, much of the contributions to these emissions into the atmosphere are coming from the use of gas. So which is why people around Europe are contesting and saying, hey, look, this is what is contributing to these emissions. This is what is trapping more heat in the atmosphere, henceforth causing all these climate change events. So it's time for you to drop this. So if we can look at more renewable resources, and the good thing with Europe is that they have the resources to actually have more renewable energy. They have the wind energy already in play. So all they need is just build up more turbines. Make sure you can generate power without use of oil and gas. So when they have all these resources, why then are you still going to the fossil fuels is the big question. Because you also look at the fact that they have resources to create more and bigger solar plants. So why are they not doing that? Why are you putting money into what is naturally cheap for you, when you can actually afford all these renewable energy resources that we're talking about, which will in turn stop all these extreme weather events that we have? We just saw, funny and very extreme tornadoes hitting Kentucky and 8 more states. There is going to be a lot of these events occurring and, taking lives. So you don't want to add to what is artificially created by human beings. So why can't we just at least deal with the natural events and avoid the ones that we are causing ourselves? And this is why we still call on all climate activists to come up and have that voice and call on these big companies that are trying to destroy what we already have. And I'm happy that some of them, like Friends of the Earth, are taking it to another level and taking them to the eyes of the law and make sure they are accountable for what is happening in terms of weather and climate. But well, let's take a look at the weather that is happening here in Uganda this morning. And according to our satellites, from what I'm seeing this morning, actually we did start off with very cold weather, but that is also associated with cloudy conditions across much of the country, and most of the areas that did have much impact, that was across midwestern parts of the country, across Masindi and areas within mostly Fort Portal. That area has started off with mostly cloudy events, also a likelihood of a little bit of rains. We did have that system across Lake Victoria as well, mostly to the islands of Lake Victoria, where there was a little bit of rains, but most of that has cleared, and we're looking at mostly events of cloudy conditions. And mostly within the day we might be looking at also internets mostly towards the satellite. What they are detecting means that we might be having clearing skies later in the day. But we'll go ahead and take a look into our forecast for this morning, see which areas are most likely to pick up with wet weather conditions. Now, starting off with the Elgon region, we do have a mix of clouds and sunshine, but with the chilly weather this morning. And actually, this is like yesterday, we also did start off with a chilly morning, and those will clear still into sunny intervals later in the afternoon, so you can still expect a dry day over that area. Now we look at mostly central part of northern Uganda. Now there is at least sunny skies for now, but we do have intervals of cloudy conditions, and that area is likely to remain equally with a mix of clouds and sunshine even in the afternoon, and temperatures are only going up. We're starting off at 28, but we're looking at lower 30s by end of the day. Now the central parts of Lake Victoria, that is where we have Mukono, Kampala, Entebbe, we have Wakiso, we have Wuyuko in that category. We are forecasting isolated showers. We did start off with most of those towards the eastern side of Lake Victoria, but it seems like that system is moving forward and might bring us some little rains across several places within this area, starting off at a pleasant 26. Now the western parts of Lake Victoria, where we have Masaka, we have Kalisizo, Sembabule and Rakai, we're forecasting isolated showers. That will be starting off at a chilly 25 as well, and that system could continue into the afternoon, so still expect those rains later for that area. Now we look at the eastern side of Central, where we have Ruwero, Wobulenzi, Bururi, Nakaseke. We're forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off at 27, quite hot, and later in the afternoon we might look at a little bit of rains, but also those will be over a few areas, so nothing much to actually bring those temperatures down. We might still going up and looking at a 30 by end of the day. Now the eastern part of Uganda, where we have Soroti, Katakwi, Amuria, Kumi, we are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, also looking at a warm 28 for the start of this morning, but also it will only get warmer in the afternoon, as we do expect mostly sunny conditions towards the evening across eastern Uganda. Now taking a look into southwestern part of the country, we also have a forecast of a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with a chilly 25, but also that area can expect to have a little bit of rains later in the afternoon, and that could actually also keep temperatures a little bit down. We might also be heading for a 26 or 27 later in the afternoon. Now the eastern side of Lake Victoria, we have Tororo, Busia, Iganga and Jinja, starting off with isolated rains. We already have those rains over some places within that forecast area, starting off with a warm 28, but that system will clear, and later in the afternoon we will be dealing with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Now what we do have, especially across midwestern Uganda, that is areas of Masindi, Hoima, we're looking at that rainy system where you see the deep red colors to yellow and blue. That is the system that did start off that area and will be bringing rains towards this area, towards areas of Fort Portal, Masindi, Hoima, already having a little bit of those rains, and that is likely to push down. Also, we might look at some of those cloudy conditions actually pushing towards Mubende, so that area can expect to deal with rains this morning. Now we're also focusing on this system that did start off within the islands of Lake Victoria, and that is the one that is already bringing those rainy conditions across parts of Jinja and could also propagate towards Tororo and the rest of eastern Lake Victoria, but one that is developing towards at least Kampala and central Lake Victoria Basin. That is that little bit of that system, but we do expect that to also continue into the afternoon, only that it will be really bringing a little bit of rains, nothing much during the day for now, but we do expect it to at least strengthen during the afternoon. Now for Masaka, that area of western side of Lake Victoria, we're looking at mostly cloudy conditions, and those might develop into rainy conditions later in the day, and also more rains are expected in the afternoon. But the rest of the country seems to be dealing with cloudy conditions right now, although we have a pretty sunny morning across the Karamoja region, across Moroto, and also for the eastern side, looking at Amuria, Apache, Padel, Gulu, Kitgum, that area is dealing with mostly sunny skies, and that might continue even into the afternoon. The northern part of the country is still having mostly dry conditions. We are looking at reduced wet weather activities, and most of that will continue even for the next couple of days. It seems like this area has already kicked off when it comes to a dry season, and that is looking at December, January and February. We'll be giving you updates within that seasonal forecast when it is out for us to look into and have a prospect of how different areas will actually be faring for the coming months, looking into the fact that we are going into the dry season. Our rains are almost over. So even us here that still have those rains, they're just mostly locally influenced by the fact that, you know, we have Lake Victoria. You look at areas that are around mountains like, you know, the Elgon region. You look at the Rwenzori region, which is just being fed in by those mountains. But I think the forecast is already indicating that we could be headed for more drier days. So that is one to think about and start planning already. Well, that is it in terms of weather. We do have the agenda coming up. Robert will be here to take you through that. And then later we'll have sports by Ruben. My name is Mollen Kenyana. I want to wish you a good morning.
The program lineup on UBC.
Brought to you by Roofings, Strength of a Nation. Brought to you by introducing the all-new Roofings TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend surfaces. Roofings, Strength of a Nation.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Pick of the day on UBC. Brought to you by
Authentic